Hi everyone, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, and let's pretend that this mood lighting is intentional. And you know what? It's actually a perfect fit for today's video because I am doing some paranormal slash speculative horror recommendations. As I'm recording this, it is a super cloudy and rainy day. However, besties, almost 2 years ago, I think on my channel, I did a paranormal horror book recommendation, and I haven't done one since. I love speculative horror. I love paranormal horror. If you tell me that there is something paranormal happening, it better be something paranormal. If you tell me that there is a ghost, there better be a fucking ghost. So without further ado, let's jump on into the video. So the first book that I'm going to recommend to you is The Girls Are Never Gone, and this is by Sarah Glenn Marsh. And this is a YA speculative horror about a haunted house. In this story, we are following a young girl named Dare. She is a teenager, but she's just finished high school and is about to transition to her college life. Dare was the star of this very popular web podcast series that she hosted with her boyfriend. However, she and her boyfriend broke up, and Dare is now doing her first solo project investigating haunted houses. One of her subscribers reaches out to her and says, "Hey, I actually work at this historical property. We are looking for interns, but I really want you to come. I can get a good word in for you because this house is haunted and I am really scared." Dare is a skeptic despite her deep involvement in the world of the paranormal and having a very famous podcast series about this. But she agrees to go, and they're investigating the spirit of this house, which has a long legacy of girls disappearing, hence the title, The Girls Are Never Gone. I really love this story so much. I gave it 4 stars, and I would recommend this to the person who really enjoys atmosphere. If you're looking for something that is queer, if you enjoy something that's a little bit more lighthearted and more on the eerie, unsettling side, this is who I would recommend this for. And of course, would this be a Shar video if I did not recommend you a Darcy Coates book? So Darcy Coates is my favorite horror author. I actually last year did a series where I read Darcy Coates' entire backlist as it stood at that point. One of my favorite series for those of you looking for something a little bit more on the cozier side, but a bit more grown up than the YA book I just recommended you, is the Whispering Dead series. So the first book is The Whispering Dead. I always call it the Whispering Dead series. I believe it's actually called the Graveyard Keepers or the Gravekeeper series, something like that. But this is a story about a woman. We open up with book 1 where she is running away from something. She is running through the forest. She's being very actively hunted, but she doesn't know what the hell is happening. She just knows that she cannot let whoever is chasing her catch her. And she ends up running to this parish, this church. Is like, "Don't worry, come inside. I'll distract them. We'll make sure you stay safe." And he offers her housing on his graveyard because he lives on the church. And she agrees, and something that she very quickly realizes is that she can see ghosts and she can speak to ghosts. As you can imagine, that's very scary for her as someone who has amnesia, where she wakes up and all of a sudden she's kind of seeing these spirits in this graveyard, but she has this strong pull to help them. This series is so good. If you enjoyed, what was that 90s show, The Ghost Whisperer? I've never seen it, but the premise seems to have a very similar idea, and it is just all of the cozy energy, really great found family. Love the supporting cast and all of the interwoven elements of some of the thrillerish aspects that are going on, as well as the mysteries of the ghosts. Why are they lingering? And what happened to our main female character? Why does she have amnesia, and why is she being hunted down? This, I would say, is perfect for the fan of, if you were a Goosebumps kid and you want a grown-up version of that. When I say that, I mean that it has a really cozy, comforting element to it, if that's what you're looking for. This one is a recent read, and it is an all-time favorite. This is for my weird girls. This is for the girlies who love a story where you're not exactly sure what's going on. This is The Haunting of Velkwood. So The Haunting of Velkwood has one of the most unique premises that I have ever heard about. Have you ever heard of a liminal space? Well, liminal liminal space is a space that exists between kind of like reality. And if you've never heard of the back rooms, I recommend that you watch some YouTube videos on them because they're just genuinely hilarious in my mind, because that's my sense of humor. But the Haunting of Velkwood is this town that kind of disappears into this liminal space. It is both in existence and not in existence. And there are only 3 people who ever escape that town. We have 3 teenage girls who are best friends, and they escape that town. But of course, it is about 20 or 30 years later, so they are all much older now, and they're trying to let Velkwood go. But of course, they can't. It is such a wild phenomenon. Can you imagine if an entire neighborhood just disappeared, but you could still see it there, but couldn't interact with it at all? And the only people who can get back into the town are those who are from that town. And we're following our main character, Talitha Velkwood, for whom the entire neighborhood is named after the whole incident of the town disappearing from existence. And Talitha is approached by a paranormal investigation like research group, and she agrees to go with them because she has her own mission that she has to go back to in Velkwood, and she does not disclose that. She just knows that she is going to go back. We follow Talitha's journey as she is going through that, as she is exploring the town, the mysteries, and we're really understanding what happened then, what happened after that point, and what is happening now. This book is really one massive metaphor for rumination, for feeling stuck in the events that happened, and for trauma and how we relive our trauma and allow it to hold ourselves back in our current lives. And I just loved this so much. It is queer, and the entire time the story was developing, I loved the moments where we were in the town and really exploring this unique spin on a ghost town, because it is speculative. I promise there were paranormal elements going into it, as well as what's happening outside of that town. It's interwoven by this overall tone of melancholy, as well as hopefulness and sadness, and just like, it is perfection. And again, this is for the weird girl within me. If you like weird horror, I think you would like this book. And if you don't like weird horror, then this is definitely not a recommendation for you. But as far as paranormal speculative horror, this is an all-time favorite for me. Speaking of weird books, let's enter into the Gothic territory. So I'm going to talk to you about Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which is a book that I finished at the end of 2023. And just in case you haven't heard of this book, although it did get very popular for several years, this is a true Gothic horror about our main female character. I'm forgetting her name because it's been a long time since I've read this, but Noemi? I think it's Noemi. She gets a letter from her cousin who was just recently married. And her cousin is like, yo, my husband's a fucking freak. There's some weird ass shit going on. This family is weird. Please come help me. I think my husband's trying to kill me. And Noemi's father is like, you need to go and investigate what the heck is happening with your cousin, because her cousin married a white man. And he's like, hell no, I knew we couldn't trust these damn people. Go check out what's happening, because if I go, I'm not going to be able to uncover anything. So Noemi agrees to go. And as soon as she gets there, she's like, these people are strange. She's having like these weird nightmares and visions. And this house has a very dark lore. It's a lot about like eugenics and, quite honestly, the disgusting things that these people do. If you like body horror, you will enjoy this, but I will warn you, there is such a strong tone here of misogyny and sexism, and the way that these people in this family don't even view the women as people. So if that's going to trigger you, please be mindful of that. And there's also several moments of sexual assault, so please take care of yourself. If that's something that is triggering for you, then I don't recommend this book. But if you do enjoy Gothic horror, if you do enjoy the paranormal elements, and if you do like something that has more of a heavier tone, I think that you will like this. My critique of this is that there's a romance in here, very subtly in the background, and I was not rooting for them. I was like, girl, I don't give a fuck how nice this man is. His family is fucked up, and you know what? At some point, you've got to draw the line and say, no, No. Now I have a manga series for you because is it a horror books recommendation if I don't talk about Junji Ito? I also did a video on my channel where it was like manga newbie reads Junji Ito for the first time, and I read 4, I think, Junji Ito books, but the book that I'm going to recommend to you is Tombs, specifically because of the strong element in here of the paranormal kind of ghost stories. And if you're looking for that and you enjoy manga, I think this is a really good one. Junji Ito in general is good to follow, but the stories that are within this manga are just really unsettling and definitely have a strong paranormal element. So Tombs is a series of short stories all around the concept of death. The story for which the manga is titled is Tombs, a town where anytime someone dies anywhere, a tomb just pops up. If you're looking for something that's speculative, something that has a paranormal element, something that's a little bit creepy, if you like manga and you like Junji Ito's illustration style, I think that Junji Ito really does a fantastic job of crafting unique stories and telling very interesting stories that I just never would have thought about. Like the thing that this man can come up with, I am continuously amazed. I think that Tombs can be a really fun read for you this fall if you are looking for something like that. And I would say it's a pretty quick read because it's a manga. Yes, it's a chunky book, but it took me about an hour and a half or so to get through all of the stories. Now we have sci-fi because hopefully there's something for everyone in this video. I read a paranormal, speculative, sci-fi kind of thriller horror story called Ascension. And I read this last year when it released, and I really loved this book, hence why I'm recommending it to you. So the basic premise of Ascension is that all of a sudden, middle of the day at some random place, this massive mountain pops up in the middle of the ocean. I'm talking the biggest mountain you have ever seen. And of course, scientists are completely fucking baffled, like utterly baffled, because what do you mean a massive mountain just popped up in the middle of the ocean overnight? Out of nowhere. So of course they send a team of researchers and investigators, and one of the people that they draft into this mission to climb this mountain is our main character, who is a researcher. Now the story is told in 2 timelines. What happened then when he was part of that expedition crew, and what happens now after he has been gone for a very long time and someone finds him in an asylum. So we are reading his letters. So if you do not like, is it epistolary, where it's written in that letter format, if you don't like that, that's not going to be for you. But if you like a really cold setting, a strong atmosphere, a sense of like confusion along with the characters, because you also have no idea what the hell is going on throughout this story, and there are monsters on this mountain, then I think that you will enjoy this book. I definitely just had a really great time watching the story unfold, and the audiobook for this was very good in my opinion. However, like everything, I want to make sure that you get the right recommendation for you. If you like sci-fi, if you like speculative, if you like the thrillerish elements, if you enjoy an expedition story, cold mountain, thin air, questioning what's real and what's not real, playing with time, then you will like this. But this also has very strong religious undertones, which is not normally my thing, but didn't really bother me as I was reading this. But I know that religion can be a triggering subject for some people, so just know that this does have a very strong religious undertone, and you should be mindful of that. And the final book that I'm going to recommend to you all is These Fleeting Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall, another book that is one of my favorite books of all time. These Fleeting Shadows follows the story of this young girl who lives with her mother and her stepfather. And one day she gets a letter informing her that her grandfather, her mother's father, has passed away. But her mother is hella fucking rich. Her family comes from a long generation of wealth. And to their great surprise, they go to the funeral to pay their last respects to this man, even though they were not close at all. And our main female character discovers that she has actually been left everything. And in order for her to get her inheritance, she must remain on the property. Now, she is a teenager. However, she's almost 18 years old, I believe, if she is not already 18 years old. And while she has no interest in staying on this property, because quite frankly, they have very weird rules, it has a very weird atmosphere, she does not know anyone in here, and it just gives her very bad vibes. She can't deny that the money and the inheritance would help her family, her mother and her stepfather, in very, very big ways. So she agrees to stay, and she finds herself waking up in the middle of the night, digging holes. She encounters this woman who is like a witch. She's also a teenager, who is a witch in the forest, and they are trying to investigate the history of the home and the property, what's going on, and generally, like, why are all these rules? Why is she waking up in the middle of the night digging holes? Why can't she go out after a certain time? Why is she having this weird dreams? They are trying to figure that out together. Another one where the audiobook is really fantastic if you want something to listen to as you're working on something else. But what really blew me away about this is the way that Kate Alice Marshall incorporated the speculative element. Never in a million years did I predict what was actually going on. And it completely blew my mind when it happened. It's something that I still think about right now. Yes, it is sapphic. Yes, it is queer, but it's also one of the strangest things like you will ever see happen. Please do not spoil this for the other people who have not read this book. This was such a damn good time. And if you're looking for something with a twist, and it is YA, but in my opinion doesn't feel super YA, then I definitely highly recommend These Fleeing Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall. That said, besties, that does bring us to the end of this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if you're planning to pick up any of these books. I am definitely looking forward to fall because in my heart of hearts, I'm a basic bitch. I love autumn. I do. So leave me a pumpkin emoji in the comments below if you've gotten to the end of this video and you want to let me know if you've gotten to this point. As always, thank you so much for watching, my loves, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!